This is the guy that shot me earlier, isn't it? Can I see him? There we go. Ooh, that was a nasty hit. Right into the turret. Knocked out an AMX-32. Beautiful. Alright everybody, hello and welcome back to another episode on War Thunder. And today now, finally, after quite the long wait, I've had this thing for weeks and months now, I think, and quite a bit of hesitation on the massive and crazy Landcruiser that the Class 3P is. Now, I have to say for a start that this thing is by far not fully spaded, and that is because for me, honestly, it's kind of somehow been a bit painful playing this thing. Now, I mean, for basics, this thing is a wheeled tank, which, I mean, has its advantages and disadvantages. I'm not all too fussed about it, to be honest. It goes rather quickly. You know, max speed here says about 86 kilometers an hour at only 695 horsepower for 41 tons, though. So it does theoretically go rather quickly if you find a very long and straight street. Usually you're more looking at like 40 to 50 kilometers an hour, so nothing too crazy. You kind of have the inherent disadvantages as well of wheeled tanks, meaning that you can't really turn on the spot. You have to go forwards and backwards to actually be able to turn, and that you have huge issues with inclines, honestly. That's like one of the things that I've noticed the most of this thing. Now, for one, of course, you've got less grip with wheels, but also just having 700 horsepower for 41 tons is honestly not the best kind of stats in the world. So while you would expect something super fast and super quick that you can get around the map with, and that is somewhat in a limited aspect the case, this thing is really not the fastest thing in the world, and don't expect it to be at all, I don't think. Now, other than that, I mean, this thing is sitting at 8.7 as a rank 6, so it's honestly not, like, too bad of a BR, I think, for, like, the performance looking at it at first, because you do get a 105mm gun, you do get smoke grenade launchers. Well, when you've actually spaded the thing a bit more, you've got some extra MGs and stuff, you actually get DM23 and DM33 once you've actually researched it, if we take a quick look at the modifications right here. So it is, in terms of like actual gun performance, rather competitive, I would say. It is, well, moving at an average speed. The only thing I would really say is just always get that DM23 first. I would honestly, for this thing, put it even before parts and FPE, because at the tier that this thing plays at, it usually gets matched up against Russians a lot, and even American tanks. Like, I have been struggling so bad with the heat fest. Like, I've been getting in great shots and just not doing anything. Like, the bullet just basically disappeared and didn't do a thing for me. Just go for DM23 as quickly as you can. I would really recommend probably going for it before parts and FBE. Now, DM23 only gets you a pen of 337mm max, which can still be an issue here and there if you go into an up tier with this thing, which can very much happen. So you probably very much want that DM33 as well, because that gives you another 71mm of pen, putting you up to 408mm, which is going to be a very, very nice improvement, and I imagine should, well, pretty much fix any issues that you will still have with DM23 with actually penning tanks. So something very much worthwhile going for if you don't have as many issues as me spading this thing, because honestly, I've spent a lot of time on this thing by now. I think I've just never really been all too successful with it, because, well, looking a bit further on this tank, you know, turret rotation speed, vertical guidance, all not too crazy, you know, 70.6 degrees a second, -8 to +15, honestly not too bad. Turret rotation speed maybe a bit on the slower side for that rating, I think. Reload rate, 7.8 seconds. Also maybe a bit slow, but nothing like super out of the ordinary. But if you look on then to hull armor and turret armor, you get 67, 20, 20 and 122, 50, 20. And if we look at the X-ray here, you do get a bit of rolled homogeneous armor on top of that, a bit of spaced armor on top of that right here. But like, if you look closely at these stats, that is honestly nothing that would be even close to helpful in any sort of situation. So I think in that regard, just take this thing as more of a glass cannon, because this will... I don't think this will stop much of anything, honestly. There is just, like, I don't know, like, the only way that you're really gonna tank shots is by people overpenning. Because the one advantage that this thing has is, well, it's incredibly, crazily, overly, stupidly big, honestly. And that means that there's also a lot of pockets of thin air where there's just nothing in the tank. If somebody shoots there, they're not going to do anything whatsoever. And that's kind of the only way I've really found myself surviving things. Because if somebody shoots here, they're going to miss that ammo rack. They're going to miss that ammo rack. Somebody shoots there, same deal. Somebody shoots like the first 1/5 of the tank, nothing is going to happen. And then you've just got the massive engine here in the back, of course, which that'll knock out your engine, but not much of anything else. Now, you do get full crew in this tank. You get the driver up front, you get the commander, the gunner, and the loader in the turret, which the turret is honestly not too spacious, so take that as you will. I think the likelihood of all the crew being knocked out in one shot is rather low, though. I've also not really had too many hull breaks in this thing, which is a good thing. The only times I've ever really encountered that was when helicopters started lobbing missiles at me, which, given that this is that big of a tank, is, well, you're really going to be the first person that missiles get lobbed at by helicopters because you're just that easily spottable. And I think that has thus far honestly been my biggest issue with this thing, because it is just incredibly ginormous. I mean, if we look around here, right, you can see a Leopard 1 on the trailer, and I'm pretty sure we're just as high up. Like, look at this height of that trailer. That's basically like nearly half the tank there again. This thing is basically as big as a mouse, but has no armor in return. So, I don't know. You know, it's... I initially, when looking at the whole Operation Winter stuff, looked at this as kind of more of the pinnacle of what I would get from the tanks. But now, after I've played the EBR and had a lot of fun making the YouTube video, spading it and everything, and then I moved on to the Class 3P, the Class 3P honestly just doesn't cut it for me somehow. It's not necessarily a bad tank, you know, you can pen people, you've got some decent speed, you got to accept the fact that you're a glass cannon, but the one thing I've always struggled with is the size, because everybody and their mum is going to see you from 2 kilometers away behind a house because you're bigger than the flippin' house. That's, like, literally the way that this thing has been going for me. So, I don't know if it's just me. Let me know maybe down below in the comments if you've used this thing, how it's been going for you. I'll be very much interested in that. But for me, it's honestly not been cutting it quite that much. I don't really know. I feel like the overall size is really just the biggest issue for me in that regard. But one way or another, I think let's get some clips rolling, hopefully of some better matches than I've had so far. And, well, hopefully then you all can get a better picture of just how this thing plays and feels in-game. So I'll see you on the other side. Alright, and welcome everyone to the first clip then, here on Alaska, which I would argue is probably one of the better maps for this tank, as, well, at the very least, it is a ton of rather tall buildings that I can at least somehow try and hide away in. Now, as you can see, contrary to what I thought, I seem to already have smoke grenades, which I thought were coming further down the line, but we maybe need to check that out later on in modifications if the tank maybe already comes with them, because those are certainly a thing for me already. But as you can see then, I'm kind of just moving into the city center right here, trying to pop up at a spot a bit earlier than some of the opposing tanks, you know, and somehow trying to not be all too visible at the same time. There was already someone crossing right there. Maybe we will actually see another one. Could very much end up being the case. So let's wait here for a quick second before we push in any further. But like, if anyone like even just looks my way at all, we will very likely get spotted out here. We're not too far out in the open, but this thing is just so incredibly big, really, that, well, that's just kind of bound to happen. Kind of sad that I missed the first guy right there, but we will see. And one thing that, by the way, I think I forgot to really mention, which is probably still worth mentioning at a tier of 8.7, is that this gun is indeed stabilized, so you do get some nice stabilization during the drive. You know, at like higher tiers, I usually don't think that's like something I too regularly still mention, but 8.7 may be something where that's not like a thing all through the battle rating at all. I just saw a tree fall over to the left right there, so I'm kind of trying to concentrate, see if I actually see someone right here, but it does not seem to be the case right now. On the other hand side, our left flank is currently getting pushed rather hard, and there's somebody right there that we just absolutely ricocheted a bullet off. Whew, and he just hit our wheels. Good stuff. Saved by the bell right there. As you can see, also smoke charges, not really all being deployed at once, but one after another, so something to keep in mind there as well. Not really a big fan of that, but that is just kind of what it is. Alright, and welcome to Japan for the second episode. Well, not episode, for the second clip then, rather. We're moving to somewhere between A and B, where I hope I can grab at least a little bit of cover and be a little less apparent. But I mean, look at the size of this thing. We're basically the same size as like a one-story house. So, yeah. You know, it is pretty darn insane. Like, there is just so little cover that I can move around and kind of use this thing around. I'm unsure. You know, it's just kind of hard to actually position it and use it properly. I'm trying my best, but it's just kind of probably also a bit of a new type of playstyle to adapt to. So I hope you bear with me here as I try and get in some good clips. We'll be peeking over this ridge for the time being, because that's actually kind of like probably the least exposure I will ever get to a fight with an enemy. So let's try and use this little spot to our advantage right here. Alright, and welcome to Fields of Normandy. As you may be able to tell from the kill ticker, I am already kind of venting some aggression by shooting some balloons, because I just haven't had a good time with this thing yet. I've tried a bunch of clips thus far, none of which have ever worked, because every shooting position, everything that I normally use on every map is just absolutely inaccessible to me, because either I have to hang so far back that like elevations and other kind of aspects of the topography just totally disallow me from getting my gun on target, or if I want to actually shoot someone, I have to expose so far that I'm basically visible to abso-flippantly everyone, as is kind of, you know, proven here once more. I'm sliding due to the wheels as well, where like a normal chain tank would have already clung on. Now you could say, you know, you should have probably assumed that, and you would be right for saying that, you know, but like, come on, I can't even shoot this guy properly right now, and it's kind of annoying me a bit. But that said, that's our first kill now, finally, with the Class 3P. It's, I don't know, I don't even think I've called it the Class 3P yet. I've literally only called it a Landcruiser, and that's probably because that's the most accurate depiction of what this actually is. You know, it's just a huge flippin' Landcruiser, way too big for just about anything and everything. I'm really not a huge fan of this tank. It's not a bad tank, you know. It is a good tank if you can kind of get used to playing it and can kind of get an idea. What just hit me, by the way? Something just bounced. That is incredible. Oh my god, that has never happened. I'm not sure where I'm getting shot from though, so we're gonna pull back a bit more. I thought it was there, but it definitely wasn't. That said, the Big Light Panzer seems to have an idea. But yeah, I mean, it's like, you've got to kind of develop a whole new sort of playstyle around this thing, just because it's so big that everything that you're usually doing, you just cannot do anymore. And that doesn't necessarily mean that it's a bad tank, it just means that I, myself, am just super bad at adopting to it. So, well, I mean, let me know your experiences down below. I just can't really get used to it, I don't know. I mean, there's just nothing like it, what do I say? That said, there is a chopper right out there, and he does seem to be hovering somewhat. Oh god, if he... Yeah, now he definitely comes my way. We're gonna try and, you know, get some, smoke charges up and going here. And hopefully that's going to save us, because otherwise we are so flippin' big that he is absolutely going to nuke us. That said, I can actually see him through the smoke, which is kind of interesting. And, well, on the other hand side, I cannot get my cannon barrel far up enough, which is not too neat. Can't even get my MG far up enough. He's, like, literally hovering above me. I hope that my non-existent anti-air takes care of him. Yeah. He's also got a grenade launcher on that thing, so... it could be painful if he decides to start shooting me with that. That said... He is not launched onto me anymore, but he will be now. Or not. Okay, good. Let's, No, we can't hit him. Now, there we go. Wasn't me. I swear. No, it wasn't me. Come on. Alright, let's try and use that hill to our advantage to actually try and hit him. No, we are not going to hit him. Oh, we are? No, we're not. Come on, drive up again. Drive up. There we go. Bullet to the face. Beautiful. Shut down a chopper at least. Finally being able to use some of that terrain to our advantage, I suppose. Let's move up into our old position, though. I'm betting there's someone that's already pushed around here. Gotta be careful not to push out too far. This is the guy that shot me earlier, isn't it? Can I see him? There we go. Ooh, that was a nasty hit. Right into the turret. Knocked out an AMX-32. Beautiful. This is just about enough terrain, I feel, to actually be able to use it to my advantage. Like... crits, loaded cannon... and horizontal turret drive, that's actually kind of nice. But yeah, I feel this is like just about as much as I need in terms of, terrain to cover me. Maybe it's not enough. There was another one shooting me. I'm not sure where from. Somehow I'm surviving all these shots. I think it's just because there's like this much space in it. I mean, look at it, you know? All the ammo's out of the lower compartments. It's all up in the turret pretty much, so... There's not really much of anything to hit down there except my driver anymore, and everybody just seems to be going for hole shots or something. I can't really quite explain it, but that just seems to be my lifesaver at the moment, and I'll happily take it. But I'll stay back here for a second while we wait for that artillery to drop, which is admittedly a bit closer than I thought it was, but this should be about fine for us. And, well, I mean, looking at this now, with the last bit of ammo being moved up, our hull is now totally emptied of any ammo that may be in there. So pretty nice indeed. Not so nice. My teammate just got clapped, and there's somebody standing there to my right as well, I think. We are pretty much alone out here now, which is not a good feeling, I can tell you as much. I tried to listen in where that person's at, but he's now silent. He may have turned off his engine. I don't think he died, did he? I see somebody, multiple people moving across here. Gonna go and make that one useless for a second. And yeah, that person next to me is very much still alive. He's chilling right there, as you can see. And I do not like it. The other guy's out of a horizontal turret drive and a gunner, but the gunner's going to get replaced, and after that he's going to be able to shoot me again. This person here, I do not like. He absolutely messed up his shot. I don't know where he hits me. Like, where's everyone hitting me right now? How am I surviving this? We killed an AMX-10. Oh, God. Fall back. Okay, now we are definitely dead. Leading for landing, guys. So we're leading for landing, everyone. We're just going to continue being on fire a bit and driving backwards, because, you know, that's just what a Landcruiser does, apparently. But there we go. Unfortunately, didn't quite manage to fall back in time. My team was nearly there to save me, actually. That was an interesting one. We crazy enough, everybody shoots me in the hull. I don't think anybody knows where to shoot this thing, to be honest. Like, unless it's hull breaks that kill me, I don't really die that much. I'm very confused by this. But I'm going to go hop into my G91 real quick. And then we'll go into another game afterwards. Hopefully just as successful of one as this one. Because that was honestly, I think, the first game ever I actually enjoyed with a Class 3P. So I'll see you there. Alright, and welcome to the next clip now on Factory. And then hopefully a little more success once more. A lot of buildings to hopefully hide behind, but also, on the other hand, very little topography to actually use to my advantage. So let's see how well that one is going to go. Then I'm going to certainly move on to A, I think. Now the thing is, this thing is so big I can't even hide in the factory building because my turret will just stick out. So I'm not quite sure where I'm going to hide yet, but I cannot hide in that factory building where I usually like to be in the start, because everybody would just like be able to pretty much insta-kill me by shooting me into the turret and trying to take out all my 3 members of the crew in that turret at the same time. So really, really not the best option right there. So I'm going to push around this corner with my teammates here instead, I think. And nope, not like that. Apparently going to try and kill someone. Oh, now maybe? Can I, may I, shall I? There we go. Beautiful. T69 knocked out. I kind of estimated some stuff the first time there. Was kind of hoping that it's when it's going to be good enough, but of course it wasn't really. So nearly just killed myself doing that. But we're good. We're fine. He's dead. We're not. Absolutely beautiful. I think he just hit the absolute void in the middle of our tank, just as all the other people before him right there, and well, it actually ended up saving us. So I feel like, honestly, the way that you want to mostly play this tank is just showing everybody your side if you're in an engagement where you cannot hide away from other people. Yeah, that guy's dead. That's just what it feels like, because everybody's just going to end up shooting the empty void, whereas if you're going to get hit from the front, that's going to actually be an issue for you. Or, you know, if you get hit in the side beside massive missile, that is also mostly going to be a big issue for you. And then you get finished off by a BMP and hit in the side by another dude. Alright, everyone. So, after a lot of hours actually trying to get the clips together, I think it is finally, slowly but surely, time to actually draw a bit of a conclusion. Now, I'm really not too sure about the length of today's video, because I have honestly not been really satisfied with the clips that I've gotten, but as you already heard from me in the start, I'm really not too happy with this tank. It's really just not quite working out for me, and I think that at least was kind of, well, kind of actually shown by those clips that, like, I actually myself have a lot of issues using this tank. And I think, as I already initially indicated, that's not necessarily due to this tank being bad. I honestly think it is an alright tank. It is not very strong for its BR. It may even be a tad weak for its BR, but overall, it is definitely not a bad tank. It is usable, most definitely. It has got a good bunch of weaknesses. It has some advantages, you know, as you could see in one clip. Like, some people just keep shooting this thing into the hull, and the shots just keep disintegrating through it, not doing a thing to the tank. So, you know, the huge pocket of air and absolute absence of much of any armor does help sometimes, and there are some positives to this tank. And I think, honestly, that if you spend a whole lot of time kind of suffering, putting yourself through this over and over again, and actually learning how to play this thing, then you can actually get somewhere with it. For me personally, it is just not my play style, it is not my type of vehicle, and in my opinion, it's also mostly so far off of the way that I play any other tank, just in the way that you cannot use the same cover, you cannot use the same spots anymore. and you've got to take a kind of whole different approach of actually positioning yourself in the game, that it just does not work that well for me. You know, I had this one clip which was actually pretty nice, which was actually pretty enjoyable. You could see that the gun performance is on par. I managed to kill some people. I managed to actually hold my ground for a fair while, even when most of my team started disintegrating around me. But, well, it's just like very, very situational for me, and I mostly just struggle to place this tank properly on the map. But I think that's kind of the conclusion. It has potential. You do need to practice. You do need to adapt your playstyle. If you have it, please let me know how you're coping with it down below. I would be very much interested. For me, honestly, like, it's not the greatest tank ever. If I look back at Operation Winter, the one really, really great killer tank that I absolutely loved was the EBR, and the Class 3P is actually more of the add-on. So that's kind of my summary on this vehicle, I think. Mediocre? Alright, but you got to actually learn how to play it. So let me know what you all think of this thing down below, and of the video as well, of course. And as always, if you enjoyed the video, please make sure to hit that like button down below. That does always help out the channel a ton. And if you're new around here and haven't done so just yet, also please consider subscribing right down below, as well as hitting that bell icon to stay up to date on all future upcoming episodes on War Thunder, in which I hopefully find some vehicles that suit me a little bit better. But with that all out of the way, as always everyone, I'd like to thank you all very much for watching, and I hope I'll catch you in the next one very, very soon. Ciao.